Okay, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the live streaming group leaders special session. Today, we're going to try to focus on a real quick overview of what was happening in our chaperone training sessions that have happened all across the Archdiocese. So I just want to quickly go through what we did in our training. So if anybody was not able to be there at our trainings, you can get at least an overview of what's expected for your chaperones. So I'm going to go through this morning the chaperone training process in the quickest way that I possibly can. So please understand that I'm not going to go into as much detail as I would probably like to. I'm sorry, I'm just double opening some, hold on, technical stuff. All right. And so in this situation, it's probably going to be necessary for you to have chaperones with questions that need to be addressed, and that's totally all right. So group leaders are qualified to answer questions about this kind of stuff. So I'm just going to go really quickly, like as quickly as possible through the training. And at the end of that, we should be able to pause for some questions specific to what group leaders might want to know about other kind of logistics that are happening. So like I said, bear with me. This is going to be incredibly quick. I'm not going to go into as much depth as I would in the normal 90-minute training. But that's because you're busy people. So just to do a quick overview of our NCYC thing. Now, just as far as logistics go, if you do have any questions or concerns or comments, please feel free to enter them into the chat. There should be a chat going on, and if you should be able to see that chat through the YouTube page. If you're watching this live right now on the group leaders page of the Archdiocesan website, to access the chat, you'll want to click on that video, and there's the YouTube icon at the bottom right. Click on that, and then you should be able to watch this via the YouTube page, and then you can access chat from there. So there is already people chatting fun stuff about fish excrement and whatnot. So that's should be accessible to everybody. All right, let's dive into this. Ready? Who's excited? Oh yeah, I am. All right. NCYC 2017 is going to be as big an event as there's ever been. So you're going to be part of something huge. It's a cool thing to see dozens of bishops and hundreds of priests at the closing mass on Saturday evening at NCYC. To be said nothing of the fact that there's going to be thousands of chaperones, adults who are going to be there walking around, and tens of thousands of teens. NCYC is going to be one of the most universal Catholic and largest Catholic gathering of young people. In fact, one of the largest Catholic gatherings in the country. Period. So, so somebody asks if they are not hearing the live streaming session yet. Can anybody actually hear this live? Let's just confirm that. If you can go ahead on the chat. Okay, so somebody can hear and see fine. And Lori, I'm actually talking, right? You're not just watching me like twiddle my thumbs or anything like that. Cool. All right, I'm going to keep going through then. Michelle, good luck. All right. However, NCYC is a big thing, but in the Archdiocese of Dubuque, this is even a bigger deal. So here in the Archdiocese of Dubuque, we are the hashtag biggest NCYC group ever, once again setting that record and crushing previous records. It's just amazing what we're a part of. From our diocese alone, over 1,800 teens and adults. We're currently somewhere between 1,840 and 1,845, depends on the minute. 10% of everyone at NCYC will be from the Archdiocese of Dubuque. About 488 chaperones. Again, that number changes. It seems like every day. Knock it off. We just want to have the right people go. We are staying at 5 different hotels, and we have 35 different buses traveling from all over the Archdiocese to get young people and their chaperone adults and faith mentors and pastors to this experience. So it's kind of a cool thing. Just to give you some context about how much 1,840 is, it's the number of miles from Dubuque to Los Angeles if you were to drive there. It's also the number, this is my favorite one, it's the number of years between when Jesus was lost in the temple and when Lincoln debated Douglas in 1854. So that's like the coolest stat ever. That's the one you're going to really want to hold on to. It's also fun to compare it to if we were an incorporated town in Iowa, we'd be larger than 80% of other Iowa's towns. 1 out of every 100 Catholics, so 1% of every registered Catholic in the Archdiocese will be going to NCYC. That's a pretty significant number if you think about it. So 1/5 of all of our active high school kids, either active in Catholic high school or parish RE programs. And our diocese is almost 10 times larger than the average diocesan delegation. So it's clearly something significant going on in the Archdiocese of Dubuque. Now, I put 1837 up on to help us understand that something significant is going on here. 1837 is the year the Archdiocese of Dubuque was established. It's also almost the same number of people we have in our delegation. So I just want to focus on this. Here's my big challenge for all of us who are doing NCYC. I think that since 1837, our diocese has never had a greater opportunity than this one to realistically change the lives of our young people, their families, and our parishes. So in the last 180 years, I think this is our biggest opportunity to make real difference for our young people, their families, and their parishes. So that's my mission to you. That's my challenge. That's my hope, that as adults of the Archdiocese, you can take that challenge seriously and use this opportunity of being the biggest NCYC group ever to really come back from the national conference and transform the lives of our young people, transform their families, and transform our parishes to be everything that God wants them to be. Cool. That's it. Anything short of that, we failed. All right, there's your challenge. Go get them. Our success is not bragging. It's not the fact that we have the largest group. Sure, we're going to brag. It's going to be on the back of our t-shirts. It's something we should be proud of. But that's not how we measure success. How I want you as adult chaperones from the Archdiocese to measure success is in how you intersect with these young people. Not these ones specifically, because I don't even know who they are, but our young people. How do we engage the teenagers of the Archdiocese one person at a time? So as an adult chaperone, we're challenging you to become more of a faith mentor for these young people, to be a good Christian role model so they can see how an adult lives the life of discipleship. So your task is to make sure these young people are tended to. At the Archdiocese, Jim Betzner and I will make sure that we run everything as smoothly as possible, assisted by our team and Deacon Phil Palladino's putting that together. We are going to take care of a safe and comfortable and convenient environment for you to do your work, but your task is to reach these people. Just today, I want to go through a little bit of what's going to happen at NCYC in case you've never been there before. And we're going to walk through the whole kind of the 4 days. And then we're going to end with where we started, with what can we do to really transform our diocese afterwards. NCYC is relatively simple. There's just a lot of things going on. Each day, there are general sessions that start each morning and end each night of the conference. So on Thursday night, there's a general session. There's one Friday morning, Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night. In between those general sessions, there's breakout sessions, which are more smaller, intimate, about 500 to 1,000 people. Some of the big acts from across the country that you will have heard names of Catholic speakers and musicians will be leading those breakout sessions. There's also hands-on experiences in the interactive village. There's time for you to spend with your group, and if we're lucky, there's time to sleep. We do ask groups to be deliberate about trying to prepare their kids before they go on this trip. So there's things we provide to help you do that. There are preparation session resources available on the group leaders page of the Archdiocese. If you haven't done this as a group yet, it's not too late to gather your young people and your adults and start growing deeper into what it means to really be called. That's the theme of NCYC 2017. We do ask that as much as possible, groups use social media to stay connected with each other. It's neat for our young people to see that their group's not the only one doing this. So if you're going to be doing an NCYC meeting or an NCYC fundraiser or anything related to this, please do an Instagram or Twitter and hashtag biggest NCYC group ever, or connect it to our handle at 1700 strong, or send it to the Archdiocese at DBQ Arch. That's what we're hoping to do as far as social media. It's good for young people to see that connection. We also have participant journals that do have preparation resources in them, but they're also mainly designed for use at the conference as well. These journals can be ordered from the Archdiocese for $3 a piece, and then we'll print them and ship them to you, or you can print them off of a PDF absolutely for free. So Thursday morning, people are going to get on buses from all over the Archdiocese. Each little blue square you see here this is a map of the Archdiocese, if you don't recognize it. All the blue dots are blue rectangles are buses, and they're leaving from, you can see where they're leaving from all over the Archdiocese. The rectangles accompanying them are groups, and the amount of people in those groups and which hotel they're staying at is color coded. So you just get a sense of the scope of our group heading off to Indianapolis. You'll arrive in Indianapolis at either 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock, depending on where your group is and what wave you'll be arriving in. We have 2 waves of buses showing up. You'll be greeted at NCYC at the Wyndham Hotel, where we'll have young people come in and then split up. So young people will go into the Hall of Champions ballroom at the Wyndham Hotel, and we'll ask our adult leaders to step aside, and that's when we're going to give everybody their credentials and introduce you to our A team. The A team is the advanced team of the Archdiocese of Dubuque. The A team will actually be there for a couple days before you get there. We are take care of all of the credentials, stuffing 1,850 of those things. They also provide transportation. So if you are down at the conference and you need to get back to the hotel, you can contact the A team and they'll come pick you up and drive you back to the hotel to get you what you need. Or if there's other things, other kind of transportation issues you need. They do hotel hospitality, so they'll be there to greet you at all the hotels and help you with the room keys and all those kind of things. The premier service of the A team, though, is walking halls each night. So we have the system that we will walk halls so that you don't have to. We want all of you as chaperones. Your primary focus is to take care of your young people and help them grow closer to Jesus and his church. Our job is as much as possible to help you make that a safe environment. So we will be patrolling the hotels from 11 o'clock p.m. till at least 3 in the morning. If there's still stuff going on at 3, we just keep walking until the rooms are quiet and everybody seems settled. Generally, we don't have a problem with this. Kids are very well behaved, but we do get concerned about noise. I'll talk about that a little bit later. So we do want the rooms to be quiet. We want to make sure people are not out of their rooms after midnight, and we want to make sure you get the chance to get some sleep. We also have medical teams as part of our team that can help with consulting with when to call home or when to go to the hospital, or when all you need is some saltines and a can of Sprite to cure whatever's ailing ill people. So a medical team will be there to help as well. We're also doing social media as part of the service. We have 28 people on our team this year who are going to support you behind the scenes so that you can be more successful. This is kind of the pride of the things I'm most proud of as far as our diocesan services go. These are great people. Like I said, Deacon Phil Palladino, who's out in Waverly, actually pulls this team together for us and does an excellent job in coordinating that. We'll be staying at 5 different hotels. They're all within about 2 or 3 miles of each other, all out on the southwest part of Indianapolis next to the airport. So that's where we're staying. Thursday night, after the mini rallies where we've been entertained, the kids have been in the ballroom and the adults have gotten their credentials and people have checked into their rooms, Jimmy John's will deliver a boxed meal to all of our hotels. We'll be delivering about 1,850 boxed lunches in probably about 20 minutes. So Jimmy John's is freaky fast. This is one of the coolest parts of our trip to see them actually work with us. So we work with a young man who has 4 Jimmy John's stores out in Indianapolis, and all 4 stores are cranking out meals for our hotels, for our group. Pretty much all day that Thursday, and they deliver them using a moving truck, and they'll deliver the box meals to the buses. So when your group goes to get on the bus about 6 o'clock Thursday night, there will be boxes of meals there waiting for you. It's a pretty excellent service, and that's included in the price for your trip. Then Thursday night, you'll drive down to Lucas Oil Stadium, which is where the general session will be on Thursday night. Here's just a list of some of the keynotes that will be happening in the general sessions. Like I said, each day starts and ends with the general session. So Friday morning, there's one. Friday night, there's another. Saturday morning, there's one. And Saturday night is closing mass at the Lucas Oil Stadium. After the general session on Thursday and all other nights, you'll come back to the hotel. And we do want to talk about a few things about that. We do encourage as much as possible all socializing to happen in the hotel ballroom or meeting space. Depending on which hotel you have, every hotel has some form of meeting space. That was a requirement for us. We do ask that you do not plan to gather your small groups or your groups in bedrooms. There's a lot of reasons for that. Primarily, there's a quiet hours concern. Because we're at the airport hotels, there are flight crews that do need as much quiet as possible. I like to say there's normal people staying at these hotels too. So every time we're at the hotel, it's pretty much with quiet hours in effect. So we do want to keep people as much as possible in the hotel ballrooms or meeting spaces if there's conversations to be had. So to help you with that, we arrange for pizza and snack bags to be available for your group if your kids are hungry. It allows them to have a space to go to get something to eat and socialize and process the day. At all of our hotels, we'll have pizza slices available for $1.50 a piece. All of our hotels, except the Wyndham Hotel, will also have a snack bag option, which will include 2 individually wrapped items and a beverage for $1.50 each. You can order these by just your group leader should shoot me an email that says how many pizza slices each night and how many snack bags each night. The orders are not transferable from one night to the next. So if you get 10 slices of pizza on Thursday, but you only use 5 of those tickets, you cannot use the remaining 5 tickets on Friday. That helps us to keep our food orders to a minimum. I do not like throwing away food. We at one point had 900 leftover bananas from a different experience. We try to keep that kind of stuff down so we're not wasting food. So each night will be its own order, and we'll have those available for you at the property. So those will be in the ballroom from about 10:30 at night till about 11:45. And then at 11:45 each night, we'll close with night prayer and we'll dismiss the young people to their rooms where they should be in there at midnight as much as possible getting some sleep. So that's our hope. During the day, there's a lot of things possible. So just some things to consider. It's not inappropriate at all for you to plan some time for your group to just sit and be and process. The pace of the experience is so large that there's always something going on. So to help your young people pace themselves, sometimes it's appropriate for us to kind of slow them down and just kind of process. There's workshop rounds, as I discussed earlier. There's 3 of them on Friday. There's 2 of them on Saturday. Saturday afternoon also has a dance, a comedy show, and a talent show. Friday afternoon about 3:30, or Saturday afternoon about 3:30. Also going on is this interactive village or thematic park that's going to be open every time during the day between the general sessions. You can spend a whole day in the thematic park and not see everything. There's tons of stuff to do in there. Hands-on activities, vendors, service projects, artists, musicians, colleges, different vocation groups, religious men and women. Neat stuff. Also, a lot of prayer experiences available throughout the day, either reconciliation or adoration, or there's going to be, I think, 4 or 5 different daily masses on Friday and Saturday at the conference. So there's a lot of opportunities for prayer. And like I said, don't forget to plan some time to eat. Kids can be very distracted. If you look at the schedule, it's already pretty packed. So finding meals is going to be a strategy. You're going to actually have to designate time to do that. So help your young people plan out accordingly. Indianapolis is where this is all going to happen. It's probably one of the best cities in the country to host NCYC. Each morning, your buses will drop you off just south of Lucas Oil Stadium. You'll go into the stadium for the general session. Then you move up to the Indiana Convention Center where all the breakouts happen. That's where the thematic park is as well. There are dining options in the Indianapolis or Indiana Convention Center. Some of them may be a bit more expensive than what people want to spend. There's also a food court in the Circle Center Mall about 2 blocks east of the convention center, all connected by the skyways that connect all of these buildings together. So you can actually walk from one to the next without actually having to leave the indoors. We do designate Military Park up here in the top of the map is our Archdiocese emergency meeting point. If there's ever a situation where we have to quickly evacuate the convention center or the stadium, that is our rally point. We're going to try to connect there. We've never needed it. We don't want to need it. I can imagine a few situations where we might. We designate it just in case and hope to never have to use it. And then at the end of the night, after the last general session, you go right back to where your buses are. Where they're parked in the morning is where they'll be at night. That's the nice thing about the south lot is we get to park the buses there for the entire duration of the day. So where you're dropped off in the morning is where you get on your bus at night. Teenagers at NCYC are kind of a unique animal. They are funny-looking people by the end of the week because they have all these trading items, and they will start picking up hats like this gentleman does, or sunglasses, or pins, or buttons, or whatever kind of other trading items they have. You also see that every young person's wearing a lanyard with their credentials in it. This is incredibly important. Please make sure that before we get on the bus every morning, you're checking every young person to make sure they have their credentials on them. Inside their credentials will also be their liability waivers, some prayer resources, a map of the thematic park, other stuff. So it's very important to have that on. That does give them access to the convention. If you don't have a lanyard, they will not let you into Lucas Oil Stadium or the conference center. Okay. Our diocesan t-shirt. We do provide a t-shirt for everybody going to NCYC. Our diocesan shirt will be worn on Saturday, not Friday. So we do, there's a little bit of a change of plans. The journal originally says on Friday, and in the past we've done that on Friday, but this year we've had a request to move that, and so we are. So we will all be wearing our green NCYC Archdiocesan shirts on Saturday. I do recommend that everybody has a backpack, carry food, and resealable bottles of water. Young people should be happy. They should be doing appropriate physical contact. I'll just direct you there to the Youth Code of Conduct. If you haven't seen the Youth Code of Conduct yet, it is available on our website on the group leaders page. Hopefully your group leaders have made you available of that. And there's, of course, an attentive chaperone in the back. How you manage your group of young people is unique for each group depending on your group size. And so just to let you know, you can do it as a large group where everybody stays together. There's greater accountability that way, but people get frustrated because they don't necessarily get to see and experience everything they want. Small groups are kind of nice too. You can build some kind of continuity there, and meeting with the same small group, you can go a little bit more in depth, kind of have a lot of similar experiences. Again, it might be a little bit easier accountability and a little bit less frustrating. Or the buddy system where people can just buddy up and go off. I do recommend that nobody goes off by themselves, that everybody always has a buddy. And I do recommend that we don't allow teens to leave the convention center without an adult. But ultimately, that comes down to your group leader who's in charge for your delegation to make that decision about how your group will function. Sunday morning is the end of our stay in Indianapolis. It's a very simple process to wake up. You'll do room checks, make sure there's no damage or leftover belongings, including chargers, phone charging, phone chargers, and you'll collect the room keys, drop them off at the hotel office for where our NCYC office is at your hotel. Then you'll get on the buses and depart. The buses should leave sometime between 7 and 8 in the morning. They're typically all gone by 8 a.m. on Sunday. Basically, your chaperone duties, just to come up with a few things, there's just one general rule, is that our job is as much as possible to stop teenagers from making bad decisions. So to help guide them to make good decisions and get the most out of the conference. This is to address the poorly formed prefrontal cortex that exists in adolescence. Stops them from, the prefrontal cortex is what stops us from making bad decisions. I also want you to, as much as possible, to model Christian discipleship. Let these young people see what an adult disciple of Jesus looks like. To guide you in that, there's the adult code of conduct. Again, talk to your group leader or find that on our NCYC group leaders page. That spells out what's expected of you as an adult and what's prohibited from you as an adult. Namely, do not drink alcohol while at NCYC. Do not smoke in front of young people at NCYC, etc. Also, do the best you can to really encourage these kids to get the most out of the conference and maintain accountability so that we know where everybody is all the time. So we want to make sure that as much as possible, you know where your group is, you know where your young people are. If people are switching rooms or if they're going to be on a different bus, or just be sure you let your group leader know, be sure you let me know so that we can change our records so that we know how to get a hold of everybody in case we need to. You'll do room checks each night. These are gender specific. So 2 men will always check the rooms of all the boys and 2 women will check the rooms of the girls. You're basically checking to make sure that all the right people are in the room and that nobody else is in that room. So you always have 2 adults. I'd recommend that one stand in the hallway with the door propped open so you can always maintain eyesight on your buddy when you're doing the room checks. Check to make sure there's nobody hiding in the bathroom or on the other side of the beds. It's a great way to touch point with the kids and say how their day, see how their day was, and encourage them for the next morning. Give them some updated information about when your group is meeting for breakfast or when you're leaving the next morning, just to make sure everybody knows. And this should happen kind of right around midnight each night. It's a very simple process, but we do want to make sure each room is checked each night. If your group is sharing rooms with another group, just make sure you coordinate that to make sure that room gets checked. It doesn't have to be checked twice. Just make sure that room gets checked. Also, if the kids want to go to sleep at 11:30 or 10:30 because they're just exhausted, you know your kids, if you really think they're going to go sleep, go do a room check for them at 11 o'clock, or you can do it earlier if you want to, if the kids are asking for it. But my hope is that all these room checks happen by midnight so you can get tucked in and go to sleep and get some rest. We do want to, as much as possible, enforce the youth code of conduct for all of the teens at NCYC, not just the ones from your parish, not just the ones from the Archdiocese of Dubuque. So this is a constant thing. Every adult going to NCYC is encouraged to enforce the same youth code of conduct, regardless of where they're from. So we do ask for your help in helping all of our young people do the best they can. Another task is just to help them plan how they're going to spend their time. You can use the app or the program book or whatever else is available to you to help you do that, but just help young people decide how to get the most from their experience. And like I said, then get your sleep, stay well rested so you can focus the next day on modeling good Christian discipleship. There's a few guiding principles. This is kind of basic stuff. We just want everybody to be positive, like joy-filled Catholics. We also want to leave a great image in the mind of all the residents and staff who are working with us in Indianapolis. We've heard lots of great stories of our young people really modeling great Christian leadership and serving the community. People love it when we come to town because our kids are always that awesome. So we want to maintain that. As much as possible, address negative behaviors with positive alternatives. So again, try to stay positive in your attitude, and instead of saying don't do something, tell them what to do instead. Like, hey, can you guys be a bit more respectful with your language? Or can you guys keep the volume down just a little bit because people are trying to sleep? Just address it with positive alternatives rather than saying, hey, shut up. Okay, we don't. You know what I mean? Like, let's not do that. Let's just say, hey, can we be more respectful? All right. And like I said, consistent adult enforcement. We've talked about that before. That means we're going to be consistent about enforcing the codes of conduct for young people, but also for our adult peers. If we see anything that other adults are doing that might be inappropriate, again, just address those with positive alternatives. As far as consequences go, there's a long range of different things that we could possibly do. We do reserve the right to send someone home if they're clearly not cooperating with the spirit of NCYC and they don't want to be there and they're not going to be there without being disruptive. We will send them home. We will contact their parents and discuss a way on how that's going to happen. So this is the worst case scenario. I've never had to do that. Generally, when you redirect behavior, young people will respond favorably to that, generally speaking. If they're not, we can always talk that over with their group leader or call home. Worst case scenario, that we have to talk to law enforcement or they meet with me, and then we start kind of talking serious about whether or not they're going home. All right, health issues are an important thing to keep in mind. We do have a policy regarding prescription medication. The young people are not allowed in general to carry prescription medication on them. So we do ask group leaders or trusted chaperones to take prescription medications from the young people and hold on to them. We do make that available for them when they need it, but we do not measure out the dosage. We are not dispensing the meds. We're simply making them available. So if a young person needs meds every day at breakfast, the group leader would just find them at breakfast, give them their meds. They would take them, they would give the meds back, and then you would hold on to them, maybe keeping them in the safe or maybe keeping them in a backpack that you keep with you on the trip. The exceptions to this would be EpiPens or inhalers or things young people need to have on them in case they have airway constricting conditions. If they're going to die, if they don't have their meds immediately, yeah, then we let them carry them. That's just a simple common sense thing. We do expect, of course, responsible treatment with those if they are carrying themselves. Non-prescription medications is a little bit different. There is a part on the Archdiocese Youth Liability Form that grants permission for us to give the minors non-prescription medication if they were to ask for it and need something. So if a young person comes to you and says, I have a headache, can I have some meds? The solution would be to ask them to reach into their credential and pull out the youth liability waiver that will be in their credentials. On there, you're going to look to find the paragraph that's on the screen right now. If this question is marked no, that means whoever filled out the form, their legal guardian or parent, does not want us giving them non-prescription medication. At that point, we are not to give them non-prescription medication. No questions asked. We are not allowed to give that to them. If it says yes, you as an adult can feel free to give them anything from the supply you have. Again, as long as it's within the recommended dose. I do ask that you write on this column of the form, you write the date and the time and what meds you gave them, just so that we can keep track of that. So the next time they ask somebody, we know if it's been within the right amount of time or not. If that is not adequate treatment for their say their arm fell off and the pain's just a bit much and one Tylenol is not really solving that problem, then we can talk to somebody else on medical staff and see if there's another solution for their problem. But we do ask that you keep the doses to the recommended dose and the time frame recommended. Okay, that's if it says yes. So make sure you check. Do not assume. Do not assume. Make sure you check that form before you give them any non-prescription medications. If young people are too sick to continue at the conference, say they're just really exhausted, nausea, lightheadedness, maybe they've already thrown up, maybe they're just getting really dizzy, whatever's going on, the kids will get ill at NCYC. We will transport them to the hotel. All you need to do as a group is call the A team and arrange a meeting spot where they can be picked up. Young people will need to be accompanied by a chaperone from your group. So the A team will come, 2 people will show up in the vehicle, typically a minivan, and they'll meet you at a spot where the sick young person and an accompanying chaperone will get in the van, and they'll drive you to the hotel. On the way to the hotel, they will also contact our medical team, who will meet you where you're going and help do a consult to find out what's going to be needed. Generally, it's just going to be go to bed and get some rest, as then the company chaperone just gets to get some rest as well. And that's kind of a nice thing for the accompanying chaperone, but that's a service we provide. If the young person starts to feel better, and generally this will happen after just a couple hours of just some quiet time and maybe getting some more fluids in them, they'll feel better to go to the conference, and then they'll get back for the closing general session. That's not uncommon. If young people do spike a fever or develop any kind of flu-like symptoms, we do have quarantine rooms where we can put them, where they'll have their own room, and then we won't have to worry about them being a contagion for all their roommates that are also crammed into the same room. So if people do have flu-like symptoms, we do have a way to address that. As much as possible, we can prevent this by just keeping our pace slow, make sure young people are drinking plenty of water, make sure they're eating healthy, and make sure they're getting some sleep. I mean, that's the best thing we can do, and that would probably address 90% of our illnesses with NCYC. Better sleep, better food, drinking lots of water, and a nice slow pace for the conference. Some frequently asked questions regard with money. I recommend that young people bring about $150. That could be upwards of $200. Depends on the individual, but that should be enough to get them through the weekend. Maybe less if they're really good about how they spend their money. But if they, I do want to encourage you to help them with the life skills regarding tips. For example, housekeeping should be about $1 per person per night for housekeeping. Bus drivers typically like $2 to $3 a day for a trip if you want to really reward your bus driver for good work. Also tipping gratuity for restaurants if there's wait staff to help you with that. There's lots of souvenirs and T-shirts and books and resources and rosaries and all kinds of other things that you can buy in the interactive village. There's lots of ways to spend money beyond just the essentials. But these are life skills to help young people plan how they spend their money. This might be the first time for some people that they're going to be responsible to do that. So coaching kids on finances might not be a bad idea either. And like I said, the best way to have the best experience in NCYC is really just encourage them to be healthy at the experience so they can be available to get the most out of the conference. And then what can we do to help make NCYC successful? More than just a 3-day vacation? That's a great question. I appreciate you asking. On the screen, what you're looking at now are just a few really of tons of different resources for gathering young people to help them grow deeper into their faith. All of these are available for purchase or subscription. They're not all cheap, but good resources shouldn't be cheap. I mean, these are professionally designed stuff that you can use to engage young people. And if not doing some kind of a sequence, like a lot of these are like 6 to 8 week sessions or 24-week sessions or ongoing sessions like Youth Ministry Access and Life Teen, they just go on forever. Which is kind of depends on what you want to do with your young people. I'm just putting up some options here because I think our young people need something to come back to after NCYC. And if not some kind of a long blown out consistent series, maybe you're looking at just an event. So you got service trips, you've got leadership development stuff, you got spiritual training, we've got tech retreats in the Archdiocese, which is a great opportunity for our high school seniors to have 3 days to spend and focus on who Jesus is in their life. Totus Tuus is also a diocesan program that's coming to a lot of our parishes this summer. 1 Cup is for liturgical ministry leadership, so people want to get involved in liturgical ministry, that's something they can get into. But what I'm hoping each group does is when you get back from NCYC to gather the young people and give them a chance to ask the question what they want. Maybe you put a list of resources in front of them, like what I just showed for you, and say, here's a lot of different things that which of these interest you and what would you be interested in doing? And let the young people kind of decide for themselves what their interest is. When they come back from NCYC, hopefully they don't want that spirit to die, and we want to maximize that. If NCYC is just a 3-day conference that ends as soon as these young people get back and they forget about it just as a happy memory, I consider this overall process a failure. It means nothing to me if we bring 1,840 people whose lives aren't changed and supported afterwards. So as much as possible, I'm challenging all of the adults and group leaders in the Archdiocese to really deliberately plan something or a way to engage young people November 20th, that Monday they return. I honestly believe that if you give young people a choice and you put these options in front of them, I think they will find the money to make it happen. I think they can even find the adults to help you make it happen, which is, those things are the critical parts of all programming. And you don't have to come back and just do one thing. I mean, there might be different things young people want, and you can allow them to break into different solutions depending on what their personal interests are. So even if it's just getting together once a week and reading the Sunday Gospel and talking about what that means in their life, if that's part of a long-term systematic religious instruction program like Life Teen or maybe Youth Ministry Access or Catholic Faith Handbook or Why Disciple, or maybe it's just learning a bit more about the Mass with alteration, or maybe it's learning a bit more about church teaching through the UCAT. Whatever it is that young people are looking for, there's opportunities and there's programs to support you in helping them get there. My challenge, and it's very serious and as much weight as I can put behind that, is that I want to hear about all these cool things that we're doing in the spring of 2018 in response to NCYC 2017. So take that seriously. Again, find an opportunity to gather young people when they get back and just challenge them to keep this energy going and keep growing in their faith with Jesus and his church. All right, just as a quick plug, mark your calendars. We are going to celebrate after NCYC with a Chaperone Appreciation Night. This is a free meal for you. We're going to have Emily Wilson, who's one of the MCs at NCYC, will be joining us for a little show, presentation, and supper, cash bar, and cake. You can't forget the cake. So invitations will be sent out at NCYC. We just asked for a simple RSVP to let us know your comments so we know how much food to order. Otherwise, please come and enjoy and share stories of what's going on in your parishes and talk about your favorite NCYC experiences with other adults from around the Archdiocese. This will be in Heartland Acres in Independence. All right. At this point, if you're a chaperone, you've heard everything I need to say. I do like to field questions from group leaders in case there's anything specific to the management of NCYC on these live streaming sessions. So I'm happy to entertain questions now. So if you have any questions, if you're a chaperone, you can just kind of stop watching at this point. But you're welcome. You're welcome to keep watching because we might talk about you. If you hang up, we might bring up your name. Then you won't know. Like, wouldn't that be horrible? All right, so if you have a question, go ahead and find the chat box. You can find that through YouTube and type in a question. If you have anything, questions coming up related to NCYC, I'll do my best to address them at this point while we're all on together. A few updates about logistics. I do have bus departure times, at least a preliminary draft sent to me from the busing company. I'm looking through that. There's a few changes that are going to be made. Some of you, if you access your group leader portal, will see departure time and location. Those are still not 100% confirmed, but they're going to give you a pretty close ballpark. There are some that are blank because they came back and I had a big question in my mind, like I'm not sure those are right. So I'm going to contact the bus company soon, just make sure we get those as lined up as possible. You should be able to access that through your group leader portal. Also, hotel rooming has been finalized for all of our hotels. If you have any room changes that need to happen, please let me know as soon as possible. A lot of people do ask about substitutions or additions or drops. If anything like that develops in your group, please shoot me an email or call me right away so we can talk about your options. At this point, it's still not impossible to add someone to your group. It needs to happen essentially really quickly. And there needs to be room on your bus, and there needs to be room in your hotel. We don't assume that there's room on the bus or the hotel. A lot of our buses are at capacity. A lot of our hotels are at capacity. So contact me about an addition. Substitutions at this point, it's great if they're gender and age equivalent. So a man replacing a man or a girl replacing a girl. Then we just put them in the same room that they're coming from, in the same bus seat that the other one was in. That's the easiest way to do it. If you have to do a substitution for somebody other than that, again, call and just let's find out about availability. If somebody is dropping at this point, there's no more refunds available. So for drops, we do recommend trying to find a sub to fill that spot because otherwise you just perishes out the money you've already spent. And that sub, those have to happen, they just have to happen real quick. So the more we know about it in advance, the easier it is on our end. We're living in a very complicated world right now with our lists and our rosters and all of those things that we're communicating with hotels and bus companies and the national office as well. So things are getting pretty complicated for us here. So if we don't have any more changes, that would make me really happy. It would make Jim Betzner even more happy. If you do have adults who have not yet completed the background check or have not finished their virtues training, please call them and just like park outside of their house and watch them all night until they do it. Like just make sure these people get those things done. We need them in quick. Our whole delegation has to be 100% absolutely compliant with our protection of children standards, or the whole group cannot go. So if it gets to be the point by next week or a week after that, I guess we got 2 weeks yet, if there's adults who do not have the background check or virtues training done, they will be dropped from your group so the rest of us can go. So that's the kind of urgency we're talking about when it comes to that protection of children stuff. Liability forms, we're still missing a few. So a lot of them are NCYC forms for the national office. Again, if you can do whatever you can to get those filled out and completed and sent back to us ASAP, that would be awesome. Jim takes scans, so if you just get them to initial it, sign it, and scan it and send it to him, that's going to be making him very happy and keeping us in compliance with what's expected of us as a group. Those are due in early November at the absolute latest. So again, if they do not have forms in by then, your spot will be forfeit. That's just how we got to do it because we have to meet deadlines. So whatever you can to get those in ASAP would be awesome. 2 chaperone training meetings left. We have one on Sunday night in Monona and then one next Sunday here at Resurrection in Dubuque. So if you have not been to one yet, those are great opportunities for us to dive a bit more deeply into what we talked about today and feel a lot more specific questions. I am not seeing any question. Oh, so wait, this is a question or comment. App is available on Android? Question mark. So I'm not sure if that's saying the app is available or is it going to be available on Android. I know there's an app coming. That's all I know. I don't know where to find it. Oh gosh, I would be the last person to talk to about apps um, at all. Like I'm just not. I would still have a flip phone if it would be socially acceptable. So I don't know the answer to that, Michelle. Anybody else? Has anybody else found the app yet? Available to the access to the app? Yeah, that's a question. Michelle, I don't know. So just tapping into the wisdom of the group, has anybody seen or found the NCYC app yet? Or does anybody else have any other questions? Again, at this point, I guess we've been on for 40 minutes already. And last month and didn't find, yeah, I looked for it last month too. It's one of those things that all of a sudden we're going to find it. I know an app, yeah, I agree, Lori. I know an app is being created, but, oh, and you know what, Brenda is the one who's going to find it first. Brenda, you're so tapped into that kind of stuff. So if Brenda can't find it, it's just not there. So we will keep looking for that. I do hope group leaders within I was hoping to do it by the end of today. It's just not going to happen today. But I do want to send out, as soon as everything's kind of detailed and lined up as much as possible, you'll be getting a bulk email from me that's specific to your site, but it will have your entire roster, all your rooming lists, and all your bus assignments. And I just want you to do one more look through that real quick to make sure everybody's name spelled right, their age and gender is right, their grade. Just double check everything just to make sure everything's in the system accurately. I do want to have that done by the end of October so that I can confirm that up on the national site. So hopefully next week I'll be sending that out to everybody. What was my other thought on that? Well, there's a thought on that. Yeah, I don't remember what that thought was anymore. Oh, bus bosses. I do have a tentative plan for who can be a bus boss at each bus. The bus boss is primarily responsible to count to make sure everybody's on the bus, that we're not leaving people behind, that we're not picking up strays, and to also facilitate some conversation or some activities to keep the bus kind of moving, so that people are feeling like there's a program possibility if you want to do games or discussions or something on the way out. There will also be a survey on the way back and evaluation of the conference. So I will be sending out an email soon to those people asking if you can or are willing to serve as bus boss. I just ask that you confirm with that as soon as you get that and send it back to me so that I can move forward with that plan. Bus bosses will be getting some more materials soon to help them in that process. Any other questions? We're a month away. Like, that's kind of creepy. Like, that keeps me up at night. Yeah, kind of just making sure all these details are done. So any other questions, by sure, give me a call or shoot me an email, especially group size changes or group changes, anybody leaving or not coming or substituting in. Those things are pretty important. Let's see, anything else? I'm not sure what else we could talk about right now. So by all means, shoot me an email or give me a call. We're happy to help. Jim's working hard right now, taking care of your groups. We are so excited about being able to offer this for you. So if there's anything we can do to support you at all, don't hesitate to ask. Until then, we will talk another time. All right. Y'all have a great day. See you later.